It is time for your end of the day update on AMC stock. Now, we're also going to cover this article that from the street says despite a total share price collapse, AMC may now be safe. And this sets us up for tomorrow what we're expecting with AMC stock. And it could be quite crazy. Let's just call it that. AMC stock did close the day in green territory at $7.37 per share, up 2.23% in regular trading, and up another 0.25% here in after hours. So we have the latest commentary and just outright data for you that you need to know as an investor in AMC stock. So first things first, I do want to get into this street article. So basically, the first part of this article, and literally the title reads, AMC stock, Adam Aaron probably saved the company, but he lost the ape support. Thanks to AMC's massive equity offering, the company now has a much firmer financial ground, though its share price took a real beating. Now, let's be honest here. The shorts, the bears, the management of AMC, the retail investors, nobody expected this to happen. So if anyone sits there and says, yeah, I expected AMC stock to fall to $7 per share, nobody expected that, okay? There was not one person saying AMC stock was going to fall to $7 per share. 200% lower than Wall Street's essentially price target, right? Your average price target from analysts on AMC stock is $21.68. That would be a return of almost 202% just to get to that average price target. So nobody expected this. Keep this in mind, okay? But it wasn't going to be good regardless. Now, let's go ahead and get into what they have to say about what's happening recently. So it says, retail investors bear the brunt of massive dilution. AMC's victory in court, which allowed it to implement the ape conversion and reverse stock split, caused AMC shares to crater. Over the span of several days, the stock lost about 70% of its value. And then during the September 6th trading session, shares were walloped again, this time because AMC filed its plans to sell up to 40 million shares of its common stock. This move was allowable thanks to the company's recent equity distribution agreement, which permits the company to sell up to 390 million shares of new common stock, about $3.4 billion worth at current prices. Although shareholders were already expecting dilution, the upshot from this news is particularly bearish. In AMC's latest 8K filing, the company's management has clarified all the risks involved in investing in the company's shares. Quote, negative sentiment among AMC retail stockholders base could have a material adverse impact on the market price of Class A common stock and your investment therein. Under the circumstances, we caution you against investing in our Class A common stock unless you are prepared to incur the risk of losing all or a substantial portion of your investment. So AMC itself did not have great things to say about its own share price, okay? And AMC is at fault here, right? Let's not kid ourselves. AMC did not need to do what they just did, but they did it anyways. AMC stock could have easily let the share price rally before diluting shareholders. That's would have been a much better way to dilute rather than just outright diluting shareholders when the stock was less than $10 per share. Just the management themselves have very low IQs in regards to how markets work, and maybe not market timing, maybe that's not the best way to put it, but how to efficiently raise capital in this market. They're unaligned with where the markets are and how the markets perceive AMC stock. Okay, that's just the bottom line to it. They have low IQs in the sense of the markets. Maybe they're okay at running the business. Okay, we can give them that. They're still here. That's because of us. But they have very low IQs when it comes to actually knowing how to manage raising capital in this marketplace. Like, very, very low. Now, the street says, despite a total share price collapse, AMC may now be safe. Despite the significant drop in AMC share price, the company is fundamentally stronger than it has been at any point in the last 3 years at least. It's not surprising then that several Wall Street experts have increased their price targets on AMC following the ape unit conversion. The 40 million new shares issued by AMC at a market price of $11.21 per share immediately secures $448.4 million in cash for the company. AMC still has the potential to issue an additional 350 million new shares, although likely at a lower price. The proceeds from these sales will be utilized to enhance liquidity, refinance existing debts, and repay loans as outlined in the company's filing. With a critical liquidity position and $9.5 billion in debt and lease obligations, this fundraising effort could become one of the most significant in the company's history, enabling AMC to address its financial liabilities and eliminate the risk of bankruptcy once and for all. In a sense, the plan led by CEO Adam Aron and his team to place AMC on a more stable path seems to be working. However, it's essential to note that for this plan to succeed, someone, or rather many someones, had to bear the cost, and in this case it fell upon AMC's loyal ape shareholders, those whose enthusiasm for the company and its stock played a crucial role in keeping the theater chain afloat during its most challenging pandemic years. They're going to make a movie on this at some point. And it's not going to read good for the company of AMC. Now, with that being said, that's neither here or there. That's already happened, right? These things have already happened. I don't think at this point AMC would dare raise any more capital. They're going to send the stock down to levels in which are dangerously susceptible to even getting delisted from the markets. And that's not what they want to happen. These shares never expire. So it's like one of those situations, right? If you had a coin or a car or anything that, well, hey, maybe you're not in the greatest financial position now, but you know if you sell it now, you're not going to get nearly as much money. Like 50% of what you would get if you waited 6 months. You'd probably wait to sell that coin, car, or whatever else it is, call it $100,000 or $1 million. Would you take $500,000 for your car today? Or would you wait 6 months and sell it for $1 million? Let's say you knew it would sell in 6 months for $1 million. Obviously, you would wait. Now, if you needed the money today and you were going bankrupt and your mortgage, your house was getting foreclosed upon, you'd probably sell that car today. But if you could wait, you would probably wait. And I think that right now is what's going to happen. So I don't think there's a risk of any more dilution from here. That would be obviously financial suicide. Again, Adam Aron and the board really doesn't have a high IQ when it comes to that. So who knows? Obviously, they could do it. I didn't expect them to raise capital after the stock had fallen 70% as is post-reverse split. But they still did. So keep that in mind. Anything's possible, but it does look unlikely that will happen again. Now, another big thing that has kind of been dragging on AMC stock as of recently, and you guys know the stock's been just falling precipitously basically every single day, is the short interest of free float looks like it's 11.5%. When in all reality, it's way, way, way higher than that. Like stratospheric levels higher than 11.5%. When AMC stock was $33 per share, the short interest was 29.25%. Now, with that being said, this exchange reported short interest is going to cover from August 16th, when AMC stock was at a high of about $34, all the way until the end of August. So at this point, AMC stock was around $12 per share. So we're going to get a reading of the short interest and how it basically fell rose during this time. The share price basically fell during this time by like 70-80% almost. So it was very bad. Odds are the short interest is probably over 50%. It could be over 100%. That is a possibility I want you guys to be open to heading into tomorrow. Tomorrow is when we will get the exchange reported short interest number. And be prepared to see a crazy high number here. Okay? Just be prepared. And I think equity markets are going to look at AMC with a short interest of 40, 50+% and say, hey, there's a real chance we could get squeezed here on any upside momentum. We need to hedge out our positions. We need to maybe cover on some of our positions. We need to reduce risk. And I think that is what could help actually cause AMC stock to rally quite a bit from here, okay? Because that's just not a good situation to be in if you're a short. And I think that's why AMC stock did recover into the end of the trading day today. Again, even now up 1% here in after hours. You don't want to be short in a stock that's about to print a 40-50% plus short interest. That's not a very good position to be in. And that data should come out basically as soon as markets start trading tomorrow. It could come out before markets open, and I'll keep you guys updated. If it does come out earlier, then we will definitely be making a video on that, because I want you guys to know that information as soon as possible. But it's hard for a lot of people to be excited about a potential short squeeze in AMC when we're getting false numbers like 13% short interest. That doesn't make any sense. That's not true. Ortex, for what it's worth, is doing a lot of people a disservice just by their estimates being egregiously false. How do you have your estimates that false? Obviously, AMC is one stock, and there's many other stocks out there, and their AI, their data is trying to aggregate for a lot of different things. So I guess give them the benefit of the doubt, but this whole time it has not helped AMC's share price. And once we do get tomorrow's exchange reported numbers, that's going to be a big time potential driver for AMC's share price. What this will also do is likely increase the cost to borrow fees. Cost to borrow fees about 6% across the board. I don't believe these estimates are true at all either, but if the short interest is 13%, like Ortex's estimates, well, that's possible, because the higher the short interest, the more likely you are to get squeezed. If you are someone willing to lend out AMC stock, if you have a 40 or 50% short interest, you're going to want a lot more for your cost to borrow fees rather to lock up your shares, right? Imagine if you lent out stock at 6% and the share price of AMC was $10 per share with a 50% short interest. And then, hey, 2 days later, the stock's $40, but you locked up your shares for, call it, 3 months. You can't even sell out. You can't get your shares back to sell out. You're screwed, okay? So the higher the short interest, the higher the cost of borrow fees. At least that's what you tend to see, especially with AMC. And they tend to be pretty in line, right? As the short interest increases, likely you usually see the cost of borrow fees also increase. So that's something I'll be watching very closely coming tomorrow. And I hope we start to get more option activity as well that starts to actually come through on a daily basis as per the option sentiment. That's one of my favorite tools to look at to see, hey, how bullish are people? How bearish are people? And what we have seen recently is obviously people have been bearish on AMC for quite a long time. Really, since the start of 2023, you've seen a lot of puts on AMC. You're starting to see this put to call ratio actually fall a little bit. You're not quite to the lowest level that we were. That was right after the 1-for-10 reverse split actually got enacted, and you bottomed out at like 1.47 puts to calls. But you're starting to get back down there again after being as high as almost 2 for the put to call ratio. So that is also a pretty good sign. And I do want to remind you that we have a lot of option activity expiring this week. 42,000 calls currently in the money, 172,000 calls out the money, 141,000 puts in the money, and 208,000 puts that are out the money. This can also drive some pretty big moves in AMC stock and a lot of volatility. Not to mention the FTD numbers that are in the multi-millions. This, think about it as anti-dilutive, right? It's like a share buyback that has to happen from market makers, hedge funds, institutions, as there are shares out there that are currently trading and being circulated that should not be out there. So it basically just reduces the overall flow. It is buying pressure here in the short term, but in the short, I guess midterm you call it, it's very anti-dilutive to AMC, and I would estimate there's still probably 5 million or so shares out there that do need to be bought back as per the FTD. So those are a couple of the things that are happening right now with AMC as far as the data. We don't have anything as far as economic data for the markets that the markets are going to react to until Wednesday's CPI report, and then Thursday's PPI report, retail sales, and then Friday's Michigan consumer sentiment numbers. Now, tomorrow night, you're actually going to get some Chinese data like the unemployment rate, the production rates, manufacturing rates, some of that data coming out for China as well coming tomorrow night, and that will move the markets, and it could affect AMC stock. As we know, sometimes if the markets are green, AMC, well, can also be really green. Sometimes if the markets are red, AMC can inverse the markets. Markets red, AMC green. Sometimes If the markets are red, AMC can be really red. So it really just depends what kind of trend we set after sitting at these lows of about $7 per share. But in the grand scope of things, AMC stock is cheaper than it was in January of 2021, before you ever seen a rally in the first place with AMC. And I really don't think there's any more dilution coming at this point. I didn't think there was before. Again, AMC and their board has a very low IQ when it comes to managing their stock price on the markets, which, I mean, is one of the gripes that I have with AMC. They're just not very intelligent when it comes to the markets and managing their stock. So anything can happen here, but odds are that there's no more dilution. You're getting the stock at bargain bin prices, like even on a fundamental basis. You're at a quarter times price to sales ratio. Like not even close to 1. You're 1/4 of 1 for a price to sales ratio. Extremely cheap, especially if AMC's numbers continue to impress, as B. Riley Securities thinks they will, and I slapped AMC with a $45 price target. That would be what, 500, 600, 700% gains from here. That could be pretty big. So if you guys want to come trade with me live in real time every time I make trades, link down below in the description of this video. Nonetheless, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.